Welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast.
You just made the list! Oh no!
Brother Nero, I knew you'd come.
Not only does that mean that you're next, it means Brock Lesnar, you're last!
I need to talk to you real quick because the fact is, you're the one that calls me the coward, but you're the one that doesn't get in the WWE ring again.
Bada boom! Realest guys in the room, how you doing?
Wait! Hey! Austin! Austin's done the Donald!
Hello, everybody, and welcome one and all to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast 2016 award show spectacular. My name is Turbo Tony, all decked out in the finest wear that mankind can offer. Looking fly here for the award show. I have lined red carpet below my chair where I'm sitting right now just to add something a little bit special to that occasion. But if I could give an award to anybody for being the best co-host, it would have to be to this man, Matt Marsander.
Hey.
Yeah. Would you like to make a speech?
Good.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Well, keep it short and sweet. Sometimes we don't like it when people get their awards.
Man, a few words. That's it. Yeah. I'm not going to go on about my mum or anything like that. It's fine.
Or do a George Clooney and be like, we have to save the environment. That reminds me of that South Park episode, but with all the smug, Matt, all the smug getting involved. A very special episode. In fact, we're only recording this like 2-3 days after we recorded the last episode. And the reason being, of course, is because I'm flying over to England to go see Bridge. So we wouldn't be able to do an ordinary show. But it just so coincides, Matt, that it was round about time we do our 2016 awards. So it kind of just worked, right? It just kind of everything just fit into place. This is an entirely award show. We're going to be looking over all of the best and the worst parts of the year. And basically giving our thoughts and giving our awards to who we think stood out for the good and bad reasons, shall we say. And unlike beforehand, where we've just put this on at like a half an hour segment at the end of a show, that is all this show is. And we're going to be going into a lot more in depth about why each person was nominated and why they win. But before we get to that point, Matt, we have to do our plugs here. Of course, if you'd like to interact with us, you can do so using our Facebook page, facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. There's also a Twitter handle that was given the award this week for the greatest Twitter handle operated by a man with a 10-inch long penis. And that is?
An unknown one. Oh, no, wait. Talk Wrestle.
I was trying to give you some veiled comment, praise there, Matt. Guards, if you're anything like Hulk Hogan, Matt, you definitely want to be talking about the size of it. Exactly.
That's very true.
No other way. And yes, people, I had to squeeze in just one more Hulk Hogan penis reference before the end of this year was done. I promise. Actually, I can't promise there'll be any more. No, me, I'll try and find any way of getting them in there, Matt. You know how it is.
That's it. Any reference is available.
Exactly. Sometimes I can't even help myself. So stuff there. Of course, you can send us any private messages and audio questions to letstalkwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Please do not send us any pictures of your penises because that would be disturbing. And you'll likely just get banned. So there you go. I was going to put that out there because, I just, as much as I might like to joke about penises, Matt, seeing them is just completely different. It's, yeah.
It's another thing.
We've gone on a weird tangent already on this show.
Yeah.
This is why we don't get big...
That got a bit weird.
Yeah, this is why we don't do the award show in a big ballroom and I'm the host, because immediately you just have a lot of people blinking at me going, okay, what has he taken? And I'd be like, well, do you want some? Maybe that'll make you see the jokes better. It's the way it is. All right, then, Matt, we've got no procrastination. We've literally got nothing but awards to start handing out.
That's it.
What is sometimes you got the Academy Awards, you get an Oscar, what was the name of our award? It's not just is it an LTW award? Is it a talkie? That? I don't know.
That.
No, you don't like a talkie? No?
Not a big fan of the talkie.
No. I guess we could. There's no other creative way. I think it just has to be the LTW award. I think that's the only way to go around it. But for those wondering, no, I have not spent plenty of money getting golden LTW logos so I can send them off to the people because I'm not rich. That's the way it is. And it's not about the trophy itself. It's about the meaning behind it, right? That's why everyone's waiting with bated breath to know for several awards. Matt, are you ready to start the Let's Talk Wrestling Awards show of 2016?
I'm set.
All right, then. Let's get into this. The first award is Female Wrestler of the Year. And the nominations are Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Asuka, and Sexy Star, obviously from Lucha Underground. Now, we're going to go through each of these nominations and maybe give their reasons why they're here and almost make their a case for why they belong and why they should win. We'll start with Charlotte as the top of that list.
That's it. We're talking about a girl who's gone undefeated at pay-per-views.
Yeah, I don't even think of anyone else that's done. Not even Brock Lesnar's done that. Was it 13 pay-per-views consecutively?
13, yeah.
Yeah, 3 championship reigns, Matt. The first person to have that new belt, a WrestleMania victory, a Raw main event, Hell in a Cell first match of which she won, and taking all those accolades away, she's still the anchor, the heel anchor to that entire division. That's in the bad times, given at least some good promos and some good wrestling, right? So even you take all the victories away and her being spotlighted as well as she has, even then, just through her body of work, I think she would still be in this conversation. Just an excellent year for her. The most highest profile year for Charlotte to date.
Easily.
Yeah, easily. Matt, when you think of all the things that she's done this year, next year ain't gonna just match up to it. Ain't gonna happen. She's gonna lose on pay-per-view. She's gonna not win as many championships. And yeah, she's already main evented Raw and had a Hell in a Cell match in the main event of that pay-per-view. Kind of running out of firsts a little bit here, but I think the deck is a bit stacked here in terms of Charlotte. But yeah,
whether it's just sort of like how much further or where does it go from here, but for the moment, seems like it's gone fairly well.
Yeah, you take the slice. I mean, it's the 2016 awards. We're only talking about, this year, and she has had one hell of a year. There's no other way to go around it. Sasha Banks. Sasha is special. We all know that. She won the Women's Championship twice this year. She's a big fan favorite. The only thing I have to say, and we have to bring this up talking about Sasha, is that she lost the championship twice at moments that she... Like, for instance, the loss in Boston. I think that kind of hurt.
A bit critical.
Yeah, and we did have portions of this year with Sasha having unknown injury, like months where she was out. It's that's unfortunate. I also do think that they missed an opportunity with Banks to have her win at WrestleMania and really go with her.
Yeah.
But it's clear they had Charlotte more in mind.
Considering she came out to a champion's entrance as well at Mania.
Oh, yeah, was it Snoop Dogg?
Yep. Well, she had she had everything. Although I'm still convinced that the confetti wasn't meant to have gone off.
Yeah, maybe it was at the end of the match that was meant to happen. Yeah, but still. It may seem a bit negative, but I think Sasha still had a good year. Not as good as last year. I think she was the winner, actually, of this award last year.
Oh, no, she was, man.
Yeah.
But then we're talking last year where she had sort of like 2 spectacular takeover matches under her belt.
Yeah, and she was just on fire. There's no other way. And she was a great heel back in NXT, back in that. But this year, not so much. It's just been injuries, and I think as well, a lot of her stock has gone down a little bit, maybe from the fact that she's been doing the promo that she usually does that unfortunately got people rooting against her a little bit, which is my heroes, blah, 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 and I want social change, blah, blah, blah. And I think that, unfortunately, didn't help her cause. But she's still a fantastic pro wrestler, and you can't take away those 2 championship victories on Raw. That is in the conversation here, and that deserves to be recognized at the very least on that front. Asuka, we're diving into out of the main roster here for these other 2 nominations. Unbeaten in NXT, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Still unbeaten. Unbeaten over the course of this year. The only person, I think, in the entirety of this list who has been unbeaten the entire of this year. So she's in a division of her own in that developmental brand, isn't she?
That's it. I think it's like currently as it stands, just like no one can really touch her.
Yeah. Not only just in booking, but in wrestling quality as well. They're just, when they gutted the division of a lot of its premier talent, Asuka was kind of left there alone. And it's going to take a while, I think, for the rest of the division to catch up. But that's hopefully what will happen next year. For now, I mean, they had to bring in Mickie James to tie things over until that point, which I think the match was fine. But
I think that's it. I think the match was fine.
Yeah, but nothing more. And I tell you, the only thing that maybe goes against Asuka, and you could probably levy this against Charlotte as well, I guess, if you're putting her in this conversation, is that, yes, while she's been on a tear and had a great year, maybe the quality of her matches has let her down a little bit. I don't think anyone has picked an Asuka match out and said that's been a show stealer.
No.
Not in the same way that Bayley and Sasha were doing last year in the same environment. But
yeah, especially considering like with Sasha and Bayley, they became game changers.
Yeah.
Well, so, like it stole the show, but it also like changed a lot of the perception.
Oh yeah, that was much bigger than the time spent in the ring that those girls had. The outcome of those matches, we're still feeling the effects of them today, and with Asuka not so much. But you can't leave Asuka out of this conversation when she's unbeaten. She is clearly a fantastic wrestler, the NXT champion, and unstoppable. And wow, they've really got behind her. Not a single loss so far for her. So impressive on that side. The last nomination, Sexy Star, Lucha Underground. Now, I know some people may look at Sexy Star and say she may not be as good of a wrestler as the other 3 on this list, and I might agree with that. I think her talents lie more in the performing section of pro wrestling, which I guess that kind of goes well with her being in Lucha Underground. But it's her last chance to get this award because, according to her, she's leaving. She's not doing wrestling anymore. So after this season of Lucha Underground, she won't be around. So I very much doubt she'll be in this argument next year. I think one match. I
think we need to actually get back into watching some Lucha for her to be even in this argument anyway.
Okay, fair enough. I think the main reason why I completely get you, and maybe that's our fault on that front, because I know that she just recently won the Lucha Underground Championship. So, but the thing is here with her, I think that No Mass match was incredibly memorable and special. I've not heard a visceral crowd reaction to any 2 words for a very long time, and that happened to be a fuck you to Mariposa. Oh, yeah. Hugely memorable, and I think she deserves it in here just because I think, unlike the other 3, while maybe her body of work hasn't been as impressive, she had the best moment out of all of them, you know?
Yeah.
In my opinion, at the very least. So maybe there are some better women that deserve to be there, but in terms of leaving a lasting impact, I had to give Sexy Star a nod here, and Lucha Underground in that sense. On that front. Is there anything else, Matt, you'd like to say about these nominations before we make our decision?
No, I've got nothing. Nothing else to add, or no one else to pitch.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a rough idea? Who do you think this will go to?
Yeah, I've got my choice.
I've got my choice. All right, Matt, you go first. Who's your choice?
Charlotte.
Yeah, mine's Charlotte as well. I just think, unlike Asuka, she has been. I mean, she's had a historic year. There's no other way to get.
Well, it'll definitely go down in history. I mean, yeah, okay, they'll put down that like Asuka was undefeated. It's like she's been undefeated since debut as well.
Yeah,
Asuka.
yeah,
which
but
is commendable, but it's not first women's Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah,
13 straight pay-per-view wins.
Yeah, it's that. I think with Asuka, it's one of those things that like the division that she's in isn't nearly as impressive as the division that's on Raw.
Yeah,
because you've got a lot of those great women that did stuff in NXT that are now moved up. I think as well the difference between some people may argue and say, what about Sasha Banks? I have mentioned that the injury blocks that she was out damaged that. But Charlotte as well, some of the people are still behind Sasha Banks, but there have been people that are pointing the finger at her for those promos and getting injured and blah, blah, blah. Charlotte has always been so reliable. She's just been there week in, week out, and she's done some great promos over the course of this year and had some great matches. I think this is actually a lot easier than maybe other people would think it. I think Charlotte, by a good mile, has taken this for female wrestler of the year.
It's very clear.
I'm in complete agreement with you, Matt. I think Charlotte firmly deserves it. Yes, she has been elevated to that sort of position, but she's made good on it on that front. So female wrestler of the year 2016 is awarded to Charlotte, the current women's champion on Raw, of course. Just an honourable mention on that, I do want to mention Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has also had a good year. But I
don't think Becky's had as memorable year. If anything, I think Becky's had. I kind of feel a bit bad because I actually think Becky's had a better year than Sasha.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you on that front. It's been a more solid year. I think with Sasha, it's been up and down. It's been inconsistent.
Yeah.
I'd agree with you on that. So an honourable mention to Becky, but I still think Charlotte all the way on that front. All right, then, to our second award, looking at some of the best women, of course, on that last one. Here we look at some of the worst stuff we've seen this year. It is the worst segment of the year, 2016. And the nominations are Rusev's Wedding Celebration, Kalisto runs away from a promo, Let's try and get Lesnar booed in Minneapolis, and the old day segment, and the old day segment with the club. Matt, it always pains me to go look at the worst of this year, but it's what we're here for.
Wasn't it might have been last year. I don't want to give voice to it.
Well, go on. You have to bring it up now.
The hope. I can't. It just gets stuck in my throat. I can't. You know what I'm referring to.
I don't know. There was a lot of bad segments last. Oh no, I know what you're talking about. No, I think that was like 2 years ago, but it feels like it's always there.
It's just sits at the edge of my mind. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Dancing
Matt,
or whatever.
You know what? You're right to not bring it up. I feel bad for trying to goad you into doing it. So by the way, none of these segments, as bad as they are, were worse than that one. So anyway, let's get into this, Matt. Unfortunately, we do have an award best segment of the year, so we can go and enjoy those later. First off, Rusev's Wedding Celebration. Matt, I don't even think that you got to see this.
I didn't. This is after the split.
You didn't. It's after the split. And thank God you didn't see it, because, oh God, it was awful. If you remember back when I reviewed it, I labeled it as going on far too long. I even maybe incorrectly, but still I said that it looked like they were intentionally making this segment longer and badder so that they could get a positive response for Roman Reigns when he came in. And I'm actually looking at it now, and I'm more into that train of thought than I was back then. So, maybe that's a little bit paranoid of me, but still. When Reigns eventually came in, Matt, bad humor, and the most laughable physical interaction with Lana doing the overdramatic fall into the cake that was nearby.
Like, oh no, slowly go. Oh, I'm in the cake. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awful. It was forced, lengthy, boring, and just bad. There's just no other way to get around it. And this whole idea of this was meant to be the beginning of a blood feud between Roman Reigns and Rusev. People just didn't resonate to this promo, and they didn't resonate to the feud going forward. So yeah, that wedding celebration, it's stuck in my mind for all of the wrong reasons, and it unfortunately was a great example of what to not put in the middle of your show.
Yeah.
You know, a 20-minute segment that should have only taken 5 minutes, if that, really.
If it should have even been given time.
Yeah. So more stuff that you have seen, Matt. Kalisto runs away from a promo.
Yeah.
So this was literally just like the day of the brand split. If they were doing the lottery, weren't they, for who went on the different shows?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember who was interviewing him, but it doesn't really matter. But Kalisto's being interviewed about being drafted to SmackDown Live. And what followed was a promo gone so badly that Kalisto had to resort to fleeing it.
Just like, bye.
Yeah. Matt, I don't. To this day, I'm not even quite sure what Kalisto wanted to say here. I don't.
I'm starting to get the impression it wasn't important.
Maybe it was, Matt. You just didn't know how to say it. You know, maybe it was really important. But this is one of the most. It was a failure from start to finish, and it's a promo so bad that, in my eyes, Kalisto lost the right to ever be given a microphone ever again. It's that atrocious. I've never seen someone had to run away from a promo. I've never seen it. I've never seen it before. This is spectacular. But unfortunately for Kalisto, we've hoped. So,
well, you say it was spectacular, but I wouldn't necessarily go that it was what we needed.
It was a train wreck, Matt, and sometimes train wrecks are inadvertently entertaining. But still, I'm actually convinced that he was pranked, Matt. I'm convinced he got onto the promo. He had everything planned. And what actually happened is that Baron Corbin put laxative in his drink. So as he started, he's like, oh shit, oh God, I need to go. And then suddenly he starts losing his dragon mind. And at the end, he's actually so eager for a crap, he just runs off. You know?
Yeah.
Before he shits his pants in that promo.
That could work. That could be a reason.
Yeah. The only reason this makes sense, other than he's a fucking horrific promo. That's the only way. How did he get through NXT's promo class? I have no clue.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So that particular mishap was bad, but not particularly expensive because Kalisto, I very much doubt that WWE are paying out him tons of money.
Depends what you class. What's the cost of pride?
Yeah, well, yeah, there is that. But unfortunately, this did cost them a lot of money because it was one of the precious Brock Lesnar appearances. This is nicknamed Let's Try and Get Lesnar Booed in Minneapolis. This is a massive and expensive miscalculation on WWE's part. Quite recent, actually, on the build-up to his match with Goldberg. Paul Heyman was attempting to try and get over the fact that the crowd were apparently, Matt, they were chanting Goldberg. But all they were doing was chanting Goldberg sucks and Suplex City. Heyman wasn't quick enough to maybe run off of this and change his promo. He just really tried to get over that chant, and it wasn't working. And as we said, Matt, back on the episode that we talked about this, back in the old days in the theater, if you're floundering on stage, that cane would come up and hook you and bring you off.
Yep.
This happened here. So, yeah.
Or like in you hear tales of like people doing stand up and the little red light flashes above the crowd. Means you're done.
That's it. Yeah, means that whether or not you like it or not, you need to get the hell off the stage because you're swimming out there. And you're drowning. You're not swimming. They literally hit Brock Lesnar's music and they left. Ended the misery, shall I say. And this was a huge miscalculation and a dumb one. Let's just be honest, on WWE's part. It's like trying to get Wade Barrett booed in England. Like, why would you even try? You know, trying to get CM Punk booed in Chicago. What's the point? It's just makes no sense. The old day. A lot of these were Raw, Matt. Jeez. SmackDown didn't.
Has the cruddy segments.
Yeah. We get 3 hours, Matt. Suddenly, what should be a 5-minute little segment, it gets drawn out to like 25 minutes. This one, unfortunately, basically, I call this the final nail in the club coffin. Any outlook to try and make us, the fans, look at the club as anything special was killed here. It was done. It was over. Matt, you could say this segment was where they were ruined.
I think you could say that's the case.
Yeah. Now, what happened here was essentially they were trying to get over that the New Day are old and they need to be put in retirement homes. They brought out 3 actors who spent forever getting into the ring and then proceeded to have some of the worst comedy I've ever seen on the show. And this is the same show that has the Golden Truth on it, I might add. It was so bad, Matt, that the New Day spent the next few weeks categorically canning the segment and saying, that famous line now with Big E was like, we're going to show you the footage. Oh, no, we wouldn't do that. We burnt it because it's awful. Yeah, it deserves to be burnt and never thought of again. Matt, this is a impressive collection of crap, is it not?
It is. I think I have my choice.
You have your right, Matt. What is your choice for worst segment of 2016?
Whilst it would have cost them a lot of money to have Lesnar around, I'm going to put Old Day.
You're putting Old Day in there, okay? And to some point, I do agree with you. My pick here maybe is one because I'm just genuinely so shocked that it's actually happened. Is Kalisto running away? I've never seen that before. But I will say, Matt, that I'm probably going to give you this one because, one, it killed the tag team the Old Day.
Yep.
And 2, the Kalisto promo was on on a network special at very least.
Yeah.
So at very least, a majority of people didn't see it. I think I'm going to give this one to you, Matt. I think Old Day deserves this one. Because even that miscalculation in Minneapolis with Lesnar and Rusev's one, it didn't kill them off. This segment killed.
Yeah.
Are we in agreement then?
I'm in agreement. I suggested it.
Very well then. Congratulations to the club. You win the award for worst segment of the year with the Old Day. Congratulations, I guess. I don't think really.
Suppose.
Yeah. We move on then, Matt, to Tag Team of 2016. And first of all, the defending champions of this award, the New Day, are our first nomination. We also have Beauty and the Man Beast, Heath Slater and Rhino, DIY, and The Revival. There are the 4 nominations for this award. It's been a good year for tag team wrestling, I think.
Yeah.
NXT, phenomenal tag team wrestling on there. And while on Raw, maybe it's not gone so well, SmackDown's been a great hub for some tag team
It's been pretty good for tag teams there.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised that the brand split, if the brand split's helped any division at all, it's been the SmackDown tag division, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They've just seemed to really have used them. Let's go into them anyway, Matt. So first of all, it's the Raw Tag Team Champions, the New Day. They were tag team champions going into the year, and they're going to be tag team champions going out, I believe, anyway. Unless some shocking thing happens between now and the end of the year. While some of their segments have been hit and miss, they have to be in here for being champions throughout. And they're just innately entertaining. They are the shining light on some of the worst shows that Raw has to offer.
Yeah.
I've needed them on some Raws, I will say. They're a stellar team, maybe not have done... No, the thing I think that harms them maybe in this Tag Team of the Year discussion, Matt, is that they haven't been in like a memorable feud, and they haven't had a memorable match this year, I don't think. So,
No, not really.
You know, I think they were getting somewhere with the Wyatt feud, but then the brand split came. And that was the end of that. So, but I still think you need to give them props because they've just been, if Charlotte was the anchor of the women's division, they've been the anchor of the Raw Tag Team division. And they're good. They're just good and entertaining. No other way to go around it. Matt, I'll let you talk about the next one because you know about them more than anyone else. Heath Slater and Rhino, Beauty and the Man Beast. Tell us about
a wonderful combination of just. I find it really difficult actually because it's brilliant because everyone still has a fondness for Rhino, everyone has a fondness for Heath Slater, and it just worked out to be such a perfect thing. I think what helped was the whole Slater fighting for his job. And I think that actually helped them as a team just sort of to further develop, to really just push it into the forefront.
And they were entertaining in their own right, weren't they? They were funny.
That's it. Plus, but the thing is, I wouldn't go. I hate to shit on my own champions at the moment.
Yeah, go on.
They're an entertaining team, but they're not a great tag team, if that makes sense.
No, I get you. They were a makeshift team after all.
Definitely.
I think they've been running this momentum, and fair play to them. But again, almost like the New Day, they haven't had they have a memorable title win. I'll give them that. That was very memorable. Yes. But in terms of great matches, they haven't got any in the bank to offer us here.
No.
For this argument. But you still have to put them in there. And you know what's great about this, Matt, is that it's two guys that, if you had asked us who had probably been in this awards, we wouldn't have thought this would have happened.
Oh no!
So them teaming up with each other, winning those belts, has reinvigorated both of their careers, and that's a real great thing right there. The next two, I'm just going to say right now, Matt, I do love the New Day, and I do love Heath Slater and Rhino, but it's going to be one of these next two.
It is.
Yeah. Let's talk about DIY. 2 world-class matches are enough to put these guys on the list. They are a newer team, Matt, because they only really got together properly almost in the middle of the year. I know they had been tagging with each other before then, but to actually have the DIY label put upon them and the look, to be confirmed that they are moving forward as a tag team. Ciampa and Gargano.
I think you say as sort of like 2 like world-class guys as a tag team, but then I think it actually helped the strength of DIY as a team with their bout at the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, their singles match, which was very well received. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it definitely helped.
Yeah. And you know what, Matt? You look at these two guys, solo, they're very good wrestlers, we know it. And sometimes you get 2 very good solo wrestlers. They make a team and they're okay, but it's not. The sum of the parts doesn't match up properly, right?
Yeah.
Here, the sum of their parts is way beyond both their individual skill sets. They have merged so well, and they managed to become the face tag team that the NXT division desperately needed. They almost had no one else really to fill that void for them. But they came in, and boy, these guys are real world-class wrestlers. There's no other way to go about it. Singles matches, tag team. And you know what, Matt? They end the year as tag team champions. So
that's it.
In a match of the year candidate, when we get to that final award at the end of the show. I'm looking forward to talking about that. Then we've got the Revival. Their opponents. I'm going to put this out there. The Revival have had a hell of a year. And the reason I say that is that, yes, they've had 2 world-class matches with DIY, but they've also had matches against American Alpha this year.
Yes.
Which were amazing. Every time, Matt, the last 2 specials, damn near, the last 3 specials, they've stolen the show. The Revival.
They've walked away with match of the nights easily.
And so, Matt, I've not seen a quintessential heel tag team as good as the Revival for years.
Yeah. I think the
They-
one thing that's great about the Revival is they're a quintessential heel tag team, but they're like a classic old school heel tactics tag team.
Oh yeah, they use every trick in the book, don't they? Do they not? And
It's like the one at Brooklyn where like Wilder just sort of like throws himself over the ropes, and it's like originally, yeah, he looked a bit like a fool, but then you suddenly just take a moment to realize, like, wait a second, you clever bastard.
Yeah, they're almost one step ahead of even the smart fans, shall we say? You know, the way they carry themselves, the way they speak, they're great promo guys. At least one of them is. But they come across in video packages so well. And they're one of the teams that I've really enjoyed and have grown just leaps and bounds over the course of this year. They are the one common denominator throughout all those fantastic tag team matches over the course of this year. Just fantastic. And they're the first ever 2-time NXT champions, right? NXT tag team champions. They look set for a main roster debut, so we'll see where that goes for them. Matt, who are you giving this award to? It's DIY or Revival. Who do you reckon?
I'm going to give it to DIY. Not DIY, to the Revival, sorry.
Revival. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I love DIY, but the Revival has just been doing it longer.
Yeah.
And I think if there's one, if we were to overlook them and give it to DIY, we're getting a little bit too romanticized with what's happened recently. But the Revival have just been doing it from all the course of the year with multiple teams. They have been a staple of NXT, and they should be remembered as one of the greatest tag teams in NXT history.
Yeah.
They are that good. And that's something you can't say lightly. You know, it's that's something that when you say one of the greatest tag teams in NXT history, you're talking about American Alpha. Back in the day, the Ascension were pretty damn good. You know, Lucha Dragons.
I still find it crazy that the Ascension could probably march into NXT tomorrow and they'll be, you know, received like returning conquerors.
Yeah. I think Revival. I think it's. I got to give it DIY, and man, if they keep up what they're doing now next year, then they'll win this hands down. But the Revival this year, it's their year, and they deserve it. So the tag team of 2016 is the Revival. I have been having so much fun with them this year, and it's almost a shame that they're going from NXT because I'm worried that they'll get mucked up, and that'll be heartbreaking if they get mucked up on the main roster. But still. Now we turn our attention to the worst booked wrestlers or acts, maybe, of the year. So this includes tag teams as well. The nominees for worst book act of the year, I think that's probably a better way to say it, isn't it?
Yeah. Or talent.
Or talent, yeah. Roman Reigns, The Club, Sasha Banks, Apollo Crews. They are the 4 nominations this year. Let's talk about Roman Reigns. I put this in. I mean, everyone knows why I put him in this category, Matt, and it's because I've driven this horse to dust. At this point, their insistence to get him over as the top face of the company just continues to fail. That I think he's got a strong case for this award for WrestleMania. WrestleMania was so badly booked, and it was to try and get him over.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, are you going to hint? Yeah, I suppose.
Go on.
Are we going to essentially blame him for us having to stay up an extra 45 minutes?
It's not his fault, but this is the worst booked wrestler of the year, so that was bad booking on his part, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, WWE were forced to blank out 100,000 people booing him. You go back and watch it on the network now, they have blanketed out the massive hostile reception that he got. And it didn't even blank it out that well because you can actually hear where they're trying to block it out because suddenly the audio just tanks, you know? They fucked this guy up. And they fucked him up because at no point of this year did they ever decide to make him go heel. And they just continued to try and get this guy over their way. and it's still not working. Matt, every single week on Raw, he's still getting soundly booed.
It's quite painful.
Yeah. It's one of those things as well, Matt, that you go back and listen to the first episode of this show this year, you'll probably get Roman Reigns was booed,
Easily.
So it's just not working. So I think that's bad booking. So the next nomination, oh God, yeah, the Club. God, what did they do to this team? The debut year for the Club in WWE could not have gone any worse, in my opinion. It was a catastrophe after the catastrophe. It wasn't just one moment, Matt. It was multiple, right? It didn't ever seem to get better. It just got worse. You look at what WWE could have used these guys, which was a hefty dose of legitimacy to the tag team division. And then they made them do awful scripted comedy by putting them doctor's coats on them, Well,
I mean, even like now it's not so much. Like I'm struggling to get through Survivor Series at the moment. I'm trying to find time between that and NXT.
Mm-hmm.
But like the last thing I've seen of them, like I don't like they're on your brand, that's fine. But when the last thing I saw was at Survivor Series when they're just making terrible chin puns.
Yeah.
Like,
oh God,
I hate Ellsworth at the best of times, but like, it's going to be a real Cinderella story and all that lot. I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah. It
wasn't
funny.
It's when I turn around and I hear myself giggling at Cinderella.
The thing is, through their mouth, it didn't work. And you know what? Even then, that's probably relatively tame to the sort of crap they've been up to. That Old Day segment, which they've already won, worst segment of the year, was just the worst that they've done. And it was, Matt, instead of what they're saying, was it being mean and making green? They weren't mean, and they they probably made some money, but no one looks at them that way. What have I said? And I'll say it again. They are ruined. Irreparable damage has been done to this team. And WWE have done mistake after mistake after mistake. I even go and look back to Kyle Anderson losing that badly to John Cena. If you remember, not even
completely just destroyed.
Yeah,
like, that was
swept aside.
That was just job in any definition.
Yeah. You won't even see James Ellsworth doing jobs like that, right? That's the honest point of it there. That was probably one of the worst burials of a single talent I've seen in one match. Just completely destroyed.
There's it's the fact that like there's some great videos going around. Like just look hard enough of like Anderson versus Nakamura, and it's like, oh, it's so painful.
Yeah, but like fucking Anderson made it to the finals of the G1 Climax, over in Japan. That's a big deal. And over in America, yep, John Cena eats him, done. And I think that was very insulting and very disrespectful. It basically just removed him from anyone's thought of this being a mean guy. It just mistake after mistake. These guys have been killed. It's been a horrible year for them. Sasha Banks, Matt, a lot of people may be worried, not worried, but maybe wondering why I put Sasha Banks on this list, considering she was up for, top women of the year. I put Sasha Banks in that class, shall we say, because of how good she is. This is because of how badly she's been booked. First of all, she should have won at WrestleMania. I think everyone agrees with that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's without doubt.
Yeah. She shouldn't have lost in Boston, without doubt. Shouldn't have happened. And there should have been some storyline reason as to why she went on the hiatus that she did for a massive chunk of the year. And we were wondering, where's Sasha? Where is Sasha? And she kept saying, I'm not injured. I'm not injured. I'm not injured. And then we'd hear, she's injured. That's what just come out and say, if she's injured, then we can always not bother about it anymore.
That's it. Then we don't have to worry. We'll just go, yep, she's injured. Or she's just getting this little thing done. She's looking to be back in 3 to 4 weeks. And we're like, cool, we will wait 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But not what about this week? What about that week?
It seemed to me like in storyline, it just seemed like she decided to go fuck it. I'm just not going to be around for 2 months.
Just pulled a punk.
Yeah, she pulled a punk and just went away, and it was just really weird. And also, their insistence to have her go out and make that same promo week after week definitely hindered her. 2015 was definitely her year, and she won this award last year. The women's award last year. But the 2016, that train got halted, and inspectors just stopped that thing, shut it down quick, and she's got no momentum at the moment. So it's and she's had a great year. I mean, a great year in the sense of like, she's been in at the right moments, but there's been some magic that could have been there, but WWE chose to do other decisions, and it's mind-boggling why they did that. So there we are. Apollo Crews. I had to put this guy in here, Matt.
You did,
just because of how badly the main roster killed this guy.
I know.
Was it I said back in the day, I think we used to get questions, which NXT guy do I believe is going to become world champion? I said Finn Balor and Apollo Crews. I was half right, at least.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you consider, like, the amount of times we get questions about, like, what do you think of Uhaa Nation? It's like, yeah. Like, that guy's fucking set if he gets up here.
Yeah.
I guess we were wrong.
Well, I think it was quite shocking, Matt, when you told me he was basically doing jobs on SmackDown. And I'm like, I thought this guy had the best chance to become a world champion. For a lot of other names, I picked him out because I thought he had the look. You know, he had the athletic skill. He was young. He was decent looking, right? And you know what, Matt? It's one of those things I've hated being right with this. That he came up, his psychology just wasn't there, and WWE weren't willing to work with him on that. And now he's dead. Apollo Crews is dead. Any chance he had of making serious waves died within a month of him being on the main roster. It was, the death of Apollo Crews was quick, very quick. And for that, I know he's not ready, but it was still their choice to bring him up. And they paid the price, and now he's paying the price as well. All right then, Matt. Who are you going to go for worst booked act of the year?
For sheer wasted potential, it's going to be the Club.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one as well, completely. They had more opportunities to get this right and then get it wrong, and they still managed to get it. So, I'm not even talking about.
It's the one thing I find quite funny, actually, because it's like you tend to associate, the Club and Styles. With one person, they got it so right, and then with the other two, it's just so wrong.
Yeah. Just a bit of a spoiler alert. Best booked wrestler of the year, AJ Styles is a nomination. The Club here, I think they win this hands down. And yes, you could give it to Apollo Crews, but the Club came in with people were waiting for them to come in from New Japan.
Oh man, the amount that they were pushing them, it's just sort of like, one of the most dominant teams, like IWGP champions and all things like that. And they're listing off all these credentials. And then, like, that means anything.
Yeah. And then quickly, as I said, they're losing. They lost tons of title matches back to back. The forced comedy killed them outright.
That's it. They should have been champions by now.
They should have been champions, but their insistence to have the New Day hold on to them and break records has inadvertently killed the Club. Yeah. And it's these guys, like I said, Matt, I think the problem with the Club now is that they've got irreparable damage.
Yeah.
Irreparable. That's how bad it's got for them. So, the Club, they win worst booked act of the year.
They need to be careful they don't end up with a Wyatt.
Yes. They need to be careful, Matt, that they don't start having the problem where finally management realizes how badly they booked them and suddenly you're not starting to see the Club around anymore.
Yeah.
And that is a problem here because they've been so badly treated. All right, then. On to the next award. Best segment of the year. Segment or promo, shall we say. The nominations are Goldberg and Brock Lesnar face off. Shane McMahon returns. AJ, Cena, and Ambrose fire off on one another. and The Miz snaps on SmackDown Live.
You mean
I think
Smack?
Talking Smack, sorry. Yeah, sorry, got that one wrong. So we've got plenty of what's here. I actually think that in terms of weighing this with the worst segment of the year to this one, I think the worst segments were far worse than the best segments were good, which is unfortunate.
They don't balance out very well.
Yeah, they don't. So first of all, Goldberg and Lesnar face off. A late entry, but I talked literally only last week about this, funny enough.
Well, you can't deny it.
Can't deny it. The entire tone of the show changed. Man, if JR were on commentary, we would have heard business about to pick up, partner. That's like Goldberg was awesome here. Heyman was awesome. Lesnar didn't really have that much to do, but it's okay. Of what he did was awesome.
Lesnar doesn't really have to do much.
No, he doesn't.
He needs to stand
there was
there
a great line.
Intimidating.
Yeah. There was a great line here with Heyman saying, that Goldberg would beat you up so badly that, your son will call him daddy. That was a great line. That got such a response from the crowd. Like I said, when you can go back and listen to my review of this on last week's episode, the reason I put this in here is because it felt different. It felt marquee. It felt big time. And it felt like two real stars facing off. There was a completely different tone to this than anything else on the show. And it was a real cool moment. And one of the things I had to put in there, Matt, it was the best way that they could sell this match for the pay-per-view. They couldn't have done it any better. Yeah. So, good on there. Shane McMahon returns back in the times that you were watching Raw, Matt. So, you did see this just before WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected Shane to come out when he did. The pop he got, and it wasn't just pop isn't even really the word, because a pop means you get a great, maybe 30-second response. This was a response that went on for the bones of 15 minutes.
Yeah, for the entire duration of the promo. Yeah.
So much so that he was genuinely touched by the moment himself. It was such a cool moment. 6 years in the making of this. And it was added for the fact that it was actually an award segment, funny enough, ironically, here on this award show. It was an award segment for Stephanie. So the pieces were in the right place. You got Vince out there. Vince's reaction, by the way, when that music hits is just fantastic. It's just fuck this. Yeah. And Shane, he still knows how to work a crowd. He really does. He was like putty in his hands. He was moving us around and he was doing whatever he wanted to. And it was a real cool moment. It really was a real cool segment. And Shane was just, that was a moment that I think, yeah, he really was. He really was. It's like he never missed a beat. You could talk to us about this one, Matt. AJ, Cena, and Ambrose promo off from one another. Well, maybe more AJ and Ambrose, because Cena really didn't talk that much. But
no.
Tell us about this promo.
I think it was one of those moments where, it was great. It kind of goes to show. I mean, it went to show what is essentially the public opinion of just sort of like, oh, the only reason you get to do this is because you're fucking Cena. Like, that's basically what it stemmed down into being. Which was just great. And the fact that he never got an opportunity, the fact that both Styles and Ambrose were just like, I know exactly what you're going to say, and these are all my counters to it. And just at the end of the day, just whatever. Like, just get gone. Like, we don't need it.
Yeah.
And even just for Cena just to turn it all around and just like, no, talk is cheap. Just pound on everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was coming off of a scathing Cena promo on Talking Smack the week before. The reason why this deserves to be on here, I think it was because I looked at this, Matt, and it was such a example of the type of promos that you get three guys in there if they're involved in a feud, or two guys in there, just let them promo off against each other. If they're good speakers, it will work, and it did. I think WWE gets a bit too cute with their segments sometimes, with more people coming out. No, this wasn't it. And damn, man, they were scathing on each other here. This was they weren't holding back. This was hard hitting, more personal as well. So Yeah, that deserves to be here. I think that was the single greatest promo. I had to do this right. The single greatest promo between a group of guys that were trying to sell an event straight off. Really, only that promo.
Yeah,
and it worked fantastic.
Last minute, quick. We need to get it across.
Yeah, and it worked. It was great. Another SmackDown live here on Talking Smack this time. The Miz completely snapped here and delivered the greatest promo of his entire career.
Yeah.
He launched an absolutely vicious verbal attack on Daniel Bryan, the wrestler, Daniel Bryan, the GM, and Daniel Bryan, the man. He tore apart Daniel Bryan so badly that Bryan had to leave. He just snapped, and what he came out with was exhilarating television and some of the best stuff that The Miz has ever done. The fans were talking about how good this was, and I said back then, while it's great, we probably won't get any more of it. And unfortunately, I was correct because we didn't get anything up to this quality afterwards. But the promo itself deserves to be recognized. It was of a different level, really, wasn't it? It was, if I was to say that the Goldberg-Lesnar segment felt completely different, you could give this to this segment as well, this promo, because it felt completely on a level of its own, on a different class. So real, but yet not. It was brilliant on that front. All right then, Matt. I'm actually really torn on this one. Best segment of the year. I'm not quite sure who to give it to on this one, I have to admit. What are you thinking?
I'm kind of biased.
Or towards your SmackDown stuff.
Well, considering 3 of it is my SmackDown stuff.
Yeah. Well, 2, because Shane returned on Raw, so...
Okay, but he's my GM.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm just a little bit... I guess maybe the one I want to give it to maybe is probably The Miz. I think that in terms of while it wasn't on the main show, I just think that it was so unexpected, but still so brilliant in its own right. And it had people talking. I would give it to Goldberg and Lesnar, but I just don't think while it was great, I don't think it's...
I'd be inclined to give it to the Shane return.
The Shane return. The more I think about it, yeah, because that entire segment was just... That entire segment, the fans were on fire throughout the entire thing. So, yeah, all right. I'm going to go with you. I think Shane returns. I think that will go best segment. Are we agreed on that one?
Yeah.
All right. So Shane McMahon wins best segment of the year with his return to the company. Now we get to look at best booked wrestlers of the year, or acts of the year. The nominations are AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Matanza Cueto, and Kenny Omega. That's right. Quite a nice little... You got one here from the main roster, one from NXT, one from Lucha, and one from, one from New Japan. Sorry, completely. My computer gave me an update there, and I was like, shut up. I'm trying to do an award show. Stop doing it. Let's go through these. AJ Styles. In terms of booking this guy, completely opposite than the club.
Yeah.
It's everything they could have got wrong with the club, they did, and some. Everything they could have got right with AJ Styles, they did, and some. Was it current WWE champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two victories, pinfall victories, one of them clean against John Cena, of all people.
Yep.
One of the cornerstones of SmackDown, Matt. This guy has had, 2016 this guy's had, and you have to give it to WWE. They've really given all of everything he needs to do that.
It's been great. So I'm quite looking forward to Rumble.
Yeah. I think that Styles, he's one of those people that I think that they should have got behind, but we all thought maybe because of the TNA background, maybe because him being the indie darling and stuff like this, that they might not get behind him, but they did, and they did the right things at the right times, Matt. That only It raised his stock even further. And maybe the only thing you could say is maybe he didn't win the championship from Roman Reigns, with his couple of title matches there. But he did eventually win it. And I think 2 victories over John Cena outweighs a championship victory over Roman Reigns, especially as AJ got the championship later on.
That's true.
So I think they've booked him so well. There's just no other way to go around it. Samoa Joe. Relentless, destructive, dangerous. He's claimed the scalps of Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. He is the first ever 2-time NXT champion in history. He is easily the biggest, baddest heel in the developmental brand. And I quite enjoy his side rivalry with William Regal as well. That's quite fun, how he directs a lot of his anger towards Regal. And you can tell Regal doesn't like him either, and kind of deals with him in spite of himself, The reason I put Joe here is because, he has lost matches here, Matt, but he's never not looked like a bad man,
Oh, no, he's fought for everything.
Yeah. And you know what, as well? I can't even remember the last time he wasn't in an NXT special main event. He had tons against Balor. I'm going to talk about 4 of them, almost.
Yep.
He's been in every single main event this year, I think. Because we saw him against Balor last year at NXT TakeOver London.
Yep.
And then he went on to win it, and then he had his matches with Nakamura, which have been in the last 2 specials. So he's been in the limelight as the top heel of that division, and I think what's great about the booking of Samoa Joe, Matt, is that he's won matches, but I think the way that they've dealt with his losses have been very impressive.
Yeah.
I've praised that as much as anything. Yeah, it's quite easy to book someone when they're winning tons of matches, right? When they're winning here, they're winning there, and they look unstoppable. But when they lose and you've got to build them back up again, that's where your real test is.
That's the story.
Yes. I think Samoa Joe has been very well booked over the course of this year. Talking of very well booked, Matanza Cueto. Whew. Oh, damn. This guy's inception into Lucha Underground was, it was electric. There's no other way to say it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the people he's beaten. He took down Mil Muertes. He won Aztec Warfare, won the championship. They made a new
considering his debut in Aztec Warfare wasn't against, scrubs. He was against some serious, well-established names, 8 of them, and just murdered them all.
Yeah, murdered them all. He's also, in terms of the ring, I mean, he's always he's backed up. He's actually a decent wrestler. He's backed up him being put in that position. But they booked him so well that he became a new main event star and a monster heel in a single package. There's literally no better example of how to quickly get a monster heel over than Matanza Cueto. It's damn near textbook, shall I say. They did it so well. And you could say, he went over lots of people. Yeah, he did, and now he's one of the top stars of the company. They did that in a course of 4 weeks, getting this guy in 4 weeks, Matt. 4 episodes. This guy was already established as one of the top guys in that show. That's almost record time. It really is. So I think you have to give it to Matanza Cueto, obviously Lucha Underground, for booking this guy. Because the speed that they got this guy over, Raw has 3 hours every single week on Raw, and they can hardly get any of those guys over. But in literally 3 or 4 weeks of an hour show, they got him over. Yeah, and I think that has to be applauded. Kenny Omega, Matt. This is one that's going to take a few people by surprise. Yes, I'm going to say right now, I do not watch much New Japan, Matt. I'm guessing that you don't either, unless you've been watching.
I do not know.
No. However, I have been keeping my eye, as I have said earlier on in the year, I have been keeping my eye on Kenny Omega. More so because I really enjoyed his outing at Wrestle Kingdom earlier on this year.
Mm-hmm.
And with Styles and Nakamura leaving, there was a void in that company for someone like him. He's had a hell of a year. There's no way to go around it. He has He's won the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, which is a big title. That was the one that Styles and Nakamura wrestled for at the beginning of the year. He's beaten Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's a big scalp for him, right? A big win against one of the all-time greatest superstars New Japan Pro Wrestling have ever had in Hiroshi Tanahashi. And you know what, Matt? Even more impressive for him this year, Omega is the first Gaijin to win the G1 Climax tournament. That is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, I talked earlier on about Carl Anderson getting to the finals. That was a big deal. But he didn't win. Kenny Omega won the thing. And this was all around the papers, over there. And all the fans over here that follow it. Hell, I don't watch New Japan that much, and I heard that he won the G1 Climax, and it's a big deal. So, yeah, they really elevated him to a status worthy of his means. So I've got to put Kenny Omega in this list for that because they've needed a new star to take over, and by God, have they given him the right ingredients to rise up and take that slot for himself.
Especially considering he's now leader of Bullet Club as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it's not the Bullet Club anymore, though, is it?
I think it's Elite or something like that he calls it, yeah. But I have to put Kenny Omega in there because it's been a really good year for him. All right, Matt. Who are you going for best booked? I'm between two on this one.
I am, but I have an answer.
Okay, go on, hit me.
Styles. For a guy who's made his debut this year and now is top star of the company.
Yeah. Who was the other one that you were with as well?
Matanza.
Mine was between Styles and Omega. But I get it. Matanza as well is still a really good pick. I'm going with my pick was though AJ Styles. I think I was so worried him coming in that they might muck him up, but they did so differently. And I think it's quite telling, Matt, considering worst booked act of the year was The Club and best booked wrestler of the year was AJ Styles. Yeah. It's almost like you couldn't find two different extreme examples of one another, you know? Yeah, I can't even think one thing they did wrong with Styles. They really gave this guy a platform and they ran with him, and rightly so. And him debuting at the Royal Rumble was the right moment, and that was a great moment in itself. So there we are. So AJ Styles gets the Best Booked Wrestler of the Year award. Then we move on to the Rising Star Award. The nominations are, a Rising Star Award, by the way, are for people whose stock has risen exponentially over the course of this year. It doesn't mean that you're young, but it does help because obviously you're coming in from not having much. But you could be, like Batista back in the day, he might have won this award because, from going from almost nothing to becoming a worldwide star. But he was like 37 when he did that. So just to put that out there, it's just for anyone, Matt, whose stock has risen way above where we thought it would.
Yeah.
The nominations are DIY, Ember Moon, Cedric Alexander, and your favorite, Matt, James Ellsworth. I know you're going to have some to talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about people that you do like, first of all. DIY.
Yes.
I
very much.
I couldn't sing
some Gargano and Ciampa.
And that's the thing here. I couldn't single either of them out, so I had to put them both in because they come as a combined package now. Their stock rose loads. I mean, they're the champions now. And, you look at the beginning of the year, they were in NXT, but they were appearing here and there, not loads. They were having matches on occasion, but they would go back to Evolve and other indie promotions, then the odd match here on NXT every so often. But they really didn't have like a big spot at a takeover special, nothing like that. So it's they've had a great year.
Right.
It's people are starting to take notice of them. There's big things for their future, and there's in terms of rising star, Matt, they are two rising stars. There's literally no other better way to put it out there. It's been a great time for them. Ember Moon. Oh God, the women's division, Matt. They needed on NXT. They needed reinforcements, did they?
Oh yeah.
It got one reinforcement. By God, it was a good one. Ember Moon made her debut this year. NXT Dallas, I think, wasn't it? That she made her debut.
No. The one before.
No, it's the one after Dallas that they
Brooklyn
she
too.
debuted. Yeah, Brooklyn too. That's where she debuted. Sorry. And it was a great debut. I think she did fantastic. She wrestled Billie Kay, and her wrestling ability was on show. And Matt, what a sick finishing move that is! Whew.
It's great.
It's a sexy, sexy one. So much so that we've got a very anticipated Asuka Ember Moon match coming, and you know what, Matt? I think we'll be talking about Ember Moon a lot in the next year. I think next year is going to be the making of Ember Moon. I think she's going to have a very successful 2017. What do you think, Ember Moon? Do you think maybe she'll be champion, or do you think genuinely it's just going to be good anyway?
No, I think it would genuinely be good, but I reckon, we probably do have a champion in the midst.
Mm. If anyone's going to beat Asuka soon, and she has to be beaten, it has to happen eventually, then Ember Moon, I think, should be the one who does it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Asuka, who's been stunned, doesn't quite know where she is, maybe she took a hit wrong, and she's kind of like staggering in the ring. Ember Moon goes up to the second rope, twists stunners, steals a victory. I can see it. I can see it happening. Cedric Alexander. Now, while he hasn't done much, I admit here, Matt, he hasn't done much in the Cruiserweight division on Raw. But nobody has, really, so we can't really blame him on that front. His performances in the CWC made a lot of people look his way. Namely, it was that match with Kota Ibushi, really, that put this guy really in the mix.
Notice, yeah.
Bags of talent, Matt. Bags of talent. And we haven't even seen the limit of what he can do yet. That's why it's cool to get behind someone like Cedric Alexander. And people may say, he's a lot like Rich Swann. I actually would, if you're going to give me a pick between him and Rich Swann, I would take Alexander.
Definitely.
What about you, Matt? Would you take Swann or Alexander?
I'd go for Alexander. Swann is entertaining, but I think Alexander's more capable.
Yeah. I think he's got more star quality to him, personally. Yeah. And from a guy who could have very easily have just been another name in the CWC, and there are a lot of people that are in the CWC that, like Drew Gulak, yeah, he was in the CWC and he managed to get in the Cruiserweight division, but I don't really care that much about him. He hasn't had any matches that have stolen my attention. Cedric Alexander, however, has.
Is that the guy who's doing a show near you soon?
Who, Drew Gulak? Oh, Fabian Eichner. Sorry, no. The guy who got eliminated in the first round, but I can't even remember by who. Yeah, he's going to be at the show close to me. But sorry, we'll need to catch that show, but I'm not doing it to see Fabian Eichner. If I'm going to it, I don't really care about Fabian Eichner. No insult to the guy, but he doesn't sell me tickets.
If he's their selling point, he'll be going in main event.
More than likely, but still. I mean, I had CJ Parker there. I mean, CJ Parker's better than Fabian Eichner. But
well, they have or they've had.
They've had him. He's now retired from wrestling. CJ Parker. So
really?
Yeah. I've got, as far as I heard, I could be wrong about that, so I'll have to have a look it up. But still. Moving on to the final nomination, James Ellsworth. Now, Matt, I know you don't like him, and I know a lot of people don't like him. Some people do. And that's fair enough.
You know what? One of my guys at work, his older brother came in the other day, and I'm like, you don't have much of a chin. You've got a shitty haircut, too. You look like Ellsworth. I don't like you.
I was expecting you to look at him dead in the eye. I don't fucking like you. It's just straight up. Why? Why can't we be friends? You don't know why, and you'll never know why. Yeah. Matt, he belongs in this award category because he came out of nowhere, and Jesus Christ.
The only thing I've liked about him was actually on Survivor Series again, which is just simply enough where he turns around and he's like, "Oh shit!" It's just Strowman just like, don't I know you? And he just runs.
Licking his lips. Yeah. As he's puckering his mouth to eat Ellsworth for the second time, shall we say.
I've snacked on you before, haven't I?
I remember your taste. Yeah, it's just... but I had to put Ellsworth in here because he went from basically being almost nowhere. And if you would look at him, Matt, you would say, you're never getting into WWE. Come on, get real now. But he is. He's signed a WWE contract. He's on the SmackDown roster. Right. You've got to put him in this category for that. He is a rising star. As much as some people dislike him, that is just the bottom line of it here. And nobody, I think, has seen such a dramatic uptick in their career than James Ellsworth. It's... With all those other people, you look at them and go, okay, I see things that could make you a star. James Ellsworth, maybe to his detriment, you look at him and go, what? It's like, I don't, what? You're in WWE? Doesn't really make much sense. And, in any other atmosphere, I think it was a perfect storm for Ellsworth, right? In any other atmosphere, this guy would be forgotten about the week after he got squashed by Strowman, but he stuck around, and he's...
I don't even know how that even happened.
Some fans took to him, and enough that they decided to throw the dice with him again. So, Matt, who are you going to go with your Rising Star Award? This one is a hard one as well to decide.
I don't know.
I will say, I think for me it's in between two. I think it's in between DIY and James Ellsworth. And the reason I put James Ellsworth in there is
how could you put them in the same category as well?
It's because of the sheer rise in stock for him. You have to recognize it.
I don't have to recognize it.
Well, you don't have to, but I think if I'm going to put down any of them, Cedric Alexander, yeah, his star did rise, but there is still some people that really don't notice him, and that's a bit unfortunate. Ember Moon, yes, she had a great debut, but she wasn't on the last NXT special, so that is a little bit unfortunate. DIY, however,
I'm going to go with DIY. I'll
beat you on that. I'll go DIY as well. I think that both of their stock, even just the singles guys, people have really, really taken a look at them, and their matches have made people look their way. And really, there was a time, Matt, when you had Ciampa and Gargano, and you wouldn't have known which one was which. There would always be like Dash and Dawson. You know who is who.
I know who out of Dash and Dawson.
I don't. I have no clue still to this day. They're just awesome.
Dawson has the handlebar.
Oh, there you go. So it's with Ciampa and Gargano, they made people look at them not only as a team but as single stars as well. So DIY are the winners of the Rising Star Award. That's the second award they've got now, isn't it?
No, they can have a third.
No, sorry. I thought they I was under the impression that they got Tag Team of the Year, but they didn't. So that's their first award.
Did we not give it to? Oh no, we go to the Revival.
Revival, yeah. Okay, moving on to a new award here. The Crowd Just Get You Award. This is an award, Matt, for talent that have been able to secure a special connection to an audience. And what that means is basically guys that are basically sure bets for getting reactions from a crowd. And the reason why I put that in here is I think a lot of guys here wouldn't have got the props that they kind of deserve for being able to invoke those sort of responses through the other categories, which are more in terms of, who's a better wrestler. Sometimes you don't have to be a great wrestler to invoke a great response from the crowd. Yeah. And the nominations are Chris Jericho, Bobby Roode, Enzo and Cass, and Matt Hardy. So we go through the list here. Chris Jericho, a man who constantly just revitalizes his career with new facets of his gimmick. The list itself, right? It's become more over than 90% of the roster.
Yeah.
That is, by the way, is quoted
so much
by
so much that it's actually like a whole storyline arc.
Yes. Yeah. And Jericho.
No.
And the great thing about that in terms of this award, Matt, is that whenever he says it, the crowd are waiting for it. They're with bated breath, the whole stupid idiot stuff, right?
Yeah.
They love that stuff. He's reeling off catchphrases left, right, and center, and the crowd eat it up. They lap it up.
Thing is, like, I enjoy it. Like, okay, yeah, I know it's this Raw thing, but like, I'm still a huge Jericho fan, and I love it because it just reminds me, it's that little bit, and it's like, oh, it's Michael's Jericho's sort of Jericho.
Yeah, but this one's a little bit more comedic.
It's a bit more comedic, yes, but it's quite similar.
Yeah, and you know what I like about that though, Matt, is that he's almost got two different versions of the same heel gimmick, right? He's almost gone like one way with the whole Michaels thing, who was very serious, right? He would use very big words, talk very lowly. This one here, he's more almost unhinged, right? He's almost like less sure of himself when he's doing this sort of stuff, and he's making noise. He's a bit more comedic. It takes a real creative genius to pull off having like the same heel gimmick and go two different directions with it and getting them both over. That is really impressive. His bromance with Kevin Owens, just the fans love it, right? They absolutely adore it. You've got to give props to Jericho, who constantly reinvents his whole persona to go with the times and get new responses from the crowd. It's very impressive. Maybe not as creatively fantastic as Jericho. This guy did it, but almost with the beautifully simplistic nature of how he got just awesome fan responses from his debut, Bobby Roode.
Yes. The thing is, he's just got it for being him.
Yeah. He got over with the use of one word and one kick-ass entrance theme.
That's it.
That word being glorious.
Yes.
That's all it took. It seems strange. Some wrestlers, Matt, go their entire career hoping to get any sort of response and not really getting it. Bobby Roode comes in and says, glorious. And he's one of the most over acts in the entire show.
Yeah.
Wrestling's a funny world to be in, I guess. I think this is also...
I think part of the strength of why that's a thing, though, is like the NXT crowd's quite a smart crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it helps that he's on that show. I do agree with you on that front.
I'm not 100% certain that he'd sort of go to the main roster. If he went straight to the main roster and tried to a Styles, I'm not 100% certain it would have paid off.
No. Now, if he did it, I think it would, but not straight away. No. It would have taken a lot longer to get this gimmick going. Not nearly as rambunctious as it is now. I mean, this thing is a whole different deal upon itself. I think it's also accentuated, Matt, by that awesome entrance that he had, not only at Brooklyn, but at Toronto as well. He stole the show in terms of entrances. The famous mini battle between him and Nakamura about who can have the best entrance is raging on. But that transition from TNA to WWE, not only did it go smoothly, man, he's more over now than he's ever been. And like I said, for one kick-ass entrance theme and one word, sometimes it's so simple, it's so beautiful, So he has to be applauded for that. Enzo and Cass, these guys had to be here, Matt. They have to be. They're so beloved by their fan base, and every time they come out and do their shtick, the crowd are always on board. Yeah, and it's Enzo's obviously one of the best talkers Raw has, and he's knocked more than one promo out of the park over the course of this year. Shades definitely of the New Age Outlaws. The similarities between them are there's multiple similarities here. It's very close. Like I said, in terms of having a connection with the crowd, these guys have got it. They got it in spades. Buckets of charisma. That's what it does to you. And maybe next year they might struggle because maybe people will start looking at the act and it might get a little bit old. But Enzo every now and then will do a promo that's so bonkers and out there that the fans are like, okay, that's fine. That's okay with me. And
we're back on board.
Yeah, the time he talks about dick cheese, he got away with that. So, but yeah, you have to give them props. Somehow, yeah. I don't even know how he got away with that, but he did, alas. And we move on to Matt Hardy. No man, and I mean no man, in the wrestling business has single-handedly pumped new life into his career than Matt Hardy has this year. the broken gimmick has been a shining light in the TNA darkness. It's been so dark in TNA this year, but he has been that one positive throughout it all. And it's one of those things that, like, he comes out on TNA fans and the whole delete thing, they love it, you know. And maybe not so much here in connection with a live audience, because TNA doesn't really have much of a live audience anymore. But it's a connection with the fan base, even outside of TNA. Then when they did those, Final Deletion or Delete or Decay, it got a lot of traction. It got more eyes on it than TNA does for the majority of their own shows.
Yeah.
So clearly they struck a chord here with fans, and it paid out for him. So he has to be commended for just the fact that I don't even understand how he came up with this gimmick, but it's so batshit crazy that it's literally, it proves that sometimes something can be so crazy it actually works.
Yeah.
You know? Some people dislike him. Matt, I know you're not his biggest fan, right, with the broken stuff, but even you
I'm a fan of broken.
I know, but not as like die hard. Let's say as even I'm not die hard. We've pointed out some of the flaws in the Deleted Decay and stuff like that. And
Deleted Decay is definitely the weaker of them.
Yeah. But you got to give him props. I would give him more props in this category than I would James Ellsworth, because with James Ellsworth, it wasn't so much more him; it was the kind of the storm around him. Matt Hardy, he created it from scratch. This whole fan response, that was all his brainchild, and he deserves props for it. So, the Crowd Just Get You award. Who do you think's walking out with it, Matt?
I kind of want to give it to Hardy.
You want to give it to Matt Hardy?
I do.
Oh, I'm tied between two. I'm tied between Bobby Roode and Matt Hardy. And the reason I think I want to give it to Hardy, though, because I think that with him, like, his gimmick is so much more complex and harder to pull off than Bobby Roode's.
Yeah.
You know? I think with Roode, it came off like... It's one of those things that, like... Maybe he didn't even know how well it would get over. It was just one of those things that...
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Whereas Matt Hardy, he I don't even know where he came up with it, but it worked, and it worked so well. Are we deciding we're going to give this one to Matt Hardy then?
Yeah.
TNA, man.
Although without Bobby Roode, we wouldn't have those great, glorious videos.
Yeah, they're excellent. I love those ones. They're fantastic. So, Matt Hardy, congratulations. You do have a connection with the audience. The Crowd Just Get You, and you get an award for it. Moment of the year. We're getting to some of the big ones here, Matt. We're on to the last 4 awards. Moment of the year. Shane jumps off the cell at WrestleMania. Sexy Star shouts, "Fuck you." Dario Cueto returns to the temple with Matanza. AJ Styles debuts at the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And Shinsuke Nakamura debuts at NXT TakeOver Dallas. 5 nominations, this one. I think all of them deserve something here. Difference between this and best segment of the year is because they're specific moments in little bits. They're moments that had your skin crawling. It doesn't have to be a full 15-minute segment or a promo. It could literally only be 5 seconds, but it's a moment that you remember. Okay then, Matt. So let's talk through them. Shane, being almost a little bit too crazy here in this match. Jumping off of a cell, which was actually taller than the one that Mick Foley jumped off of. If you can actually wrap your head around that, that's even more bonkers. The new cell is actually, I think, like at least 25% taller than the last one. So it's... When he dropped off of it, he dropped off it. I mean, the difference, I guess, with Shane and Mick Foley is that Shane dropped down. You could see that there was stuff there blocked, to block his fall a little bit. So
yeah,
he wouldn't die. Whereas Mick Foley, when he went through that table, there was literally nothing there. He just fell into
Joe, the one I love is the fact there's that. Have you seen the? I know it was on Botchamania, but it's like clearly that Cole is reading off a script.
Yeah. Oh, that was such an awful moment when you go back and you look at it and it's like, that's everything wrong with Michael Cole, the announcer.
It's true.
I guarantee you go back and you look at it, Matt, you don't have to. JR wasn't looking at the scripts when he's like, that man is broken in half. As God is my witness. He did it just from the moment itself. Now, the match sucked. Just outright. It wasn't good, but that moment was memorable and it has to be commended. Sexy Star shouts, "Fuck you." I've not seen I said this earlier on, such a amazing fan response to a single moment in a wrestling match in a long time. I popped in my chair when this came out. It was awesome. A beautiful moment. So perfectly timed, Matt. They couldn't have constructed this any better in this entire match. And, you know, that's the great thing about Lucha Underground is that they do have the ability to say swear words. And they don't say it just for the sake of saying it. You will not get a more emotionally charged F-bomb in wrestling. It gave it meaning, right? It gave it some validity with the storyline that backed it, Matt. It was beautiful. There's no other way to go around it. Do you remember that time when Sexy Star just blood down her face?
Fuck your Mariposa.
It's just it's almost enough to get goosebumps on you just thinking about it. And that's why, by the way, it was on our intro for so long, because I loved that moment. It was so fun. Dario Cueto, another moment in Lucha Underground. Dario Cueto returns to the temple with Matanza. Remember, Matt, there wasn't 20 people in Aztec Warfare. There was 21. That's right. And the surprise entrant was the Monster Matanza, who we had been waiting to see all of Season 1. And when Dario showed up, the crowd, they welcomed him back. Just the response for him. I mean, the match itself was great even before then. This was just the cherry on the cake. This was like the final moment that made this match something so special. But the moment itself, I mean, I'm not giving it, this isn't a nomination for the match. This is just the moment when Dario came out, you know. And you first got to see Matanza, you know. Just awesome. Just really was. And like I said, almost like one of the things that Lucha Underground has, maybe with its editing and the fact it's taped, Matt, the timing of these moments are just so incredibly placed, you know. It's not, they never do it at the wrong moment. It's just at the right moment when he comes out. Fantastic, you know. It's one of the things I guess maybe having a tape show over a live show kind of helps you with, because you can edit and pick out those moments for just the right point of the show to put it on. AJ Styles debuts. We all knew it was coming. We knew the stories, Matt, with AJ Styles. He'd handed in his notice at New Japan that he was coming to WWE, and there was a good chance he would be making his debut at the Royal Rumble. The look on Reigns' face pretty much said it all, right? When the word phenomenal came up on the screen.
Man, like the one thing you say, the moment phenomenal came up on the screen, like Reigns must be like, why don't they cheer for me like that?
Yeah. I can't think of a better way for Styles to make an appearance on the show. Yeah. This was really special. And that was a moment that had a lot of people like... you know, a moment is really good when you've got people immediately trying to find third-party links to watch just that the day after. Mm-hmm. And there were tons of them. A really great moment for him. Another debut, Shinsuke Nakamura. The hype around Nakamura was very real. A lot of people just asking, Matt, when before he came in, what was his entrance music going to be? Right? That was a big deal with him because of the whole presentation of Nakamura. With the Western audience, Matt, would they give him the response that he deserved for the talent that he was? It was just hugely memorable, that entrance as well. Maybe it's cooled off a little bit so much right now. We've seen it a couple of times, but back then seeing it in action.
They're escalating it really well, though. Like, because it was started off with like one violinist, and now there was like 4, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh no, there was 4 in the ring. Was there something outside? during his Toronto entrance. They say like,
oh yeah. There was like 8 of them or something, wasn't there? Yeah. Whereas they only had 1 for his Brooklyn entrance, which I actually preferred because he was actually playing that track, whereas the other ones didn't really look like they were. But still. But for this moment here, he made his first debut, and I'm sure I wasn't the only person that had been pointing to this match and telling people that hadn't seen Nakamura before, watch it, because it's going to be great. And then we're just so overjoyed that all of the things that you'd said to your friends about how great he was instantly validated almost as soon as he came out, So awesome here. So they're the 5 moments of the year. What one are you going with, Matt, to win Moments of the Year 2016?
Styles.
Going Styles debut.
That cheer was huge.
I'm going with Sexy Stars Fuck You.
Because you love it so much.
I do. I thought it was just so well timed, and it was brilliant. So we're going to have to debate this a little bit. I know Styles' debut was excellent and fantastic, but I think debuts instant. No, I can't really say that. But I just think for a moment that had built up so much and for what was so unexpected, that fuck you was very special. And why would you say? What would you say that the debut of Styles beat that, or was it just for the sheer fan reaction of it?
Just for sheer fan reaction. Like, I know, like, obviously, fucking Mariposa got a huge fan reaction as well. But I think it's like, not only was it just the cheer when Phenomenal came up on the screen, but also for the entire duration, for a good while, when he got in the ring, it was always just a holy shit chance. And this is awesome. And by that point, he'd probably not done a thing.
Yeah, I will give it to you that it kind of changed. Like, the people were booing Roman Reigns at the beginning of the match, so people weren't exactly into this. But when he came out, like, it was almost like, oh God, it's actually happening. It's actually happening. Almost like this hysteria of, we never thought it would happen, and the idea of him being inside a WWE ring was still so alien to all of us back then. I'm really reluctant to let go of fuck you though. I do get what you're saying. I really don't want to cop out and say that both, it's a joint one here. I do want to give it decisively. Oh God. Oh man, this is tough.
I'll concede.
Are you going to concede it? Are you?
I'll concede it. I can hear the strain.
Yeah, no, like ordinarily, like, because I feel it was a great moment, but I'm looking at it, I'm remembering it, and I'm like, oh, it was so cool, and I think anyone watching it would have been really, I think that moments are great for the Moment of the Year awards when they're like almost like they're 5 seconds long, and that's all it is. It's just a real visceral moment. Not to take anything away from Stars, because that still was a great moment, but all right, so you're going to concede that one and give it to Sexy Star. I'll concede. You'll concede, all right. Winner of Moment of the Year is Sexy Star for her F-bomb against Mariposa. Oh, we're getting down to the big ones now. Scandal of the Year. Whew. Boy, we've got some scandals, Matt. We've got some scandals. And the nominations for Scandal of the Year are TNA versus Billy Corgan. Roman Reigns gets suspended. Paige versus WWE. And Titus O'Neil gets suspended for touching Vince's arm. Whew. TNA versus Billy Corgan, first of all. Wow. This was a big black mark for the company that this never seemed to end, Matt. We were making comments saying we're sick of talking about this by now, but it kept going on. More lawsuits, right? Their biggest pay-per-view, Bound for Glory, almost never made air. Now TNA eventually won the suit. Corgan got his money back. But it was you know what? If TNA have been able to keep their shoddy business dealings behind the curtain, this lawsuit whipped them open and let everyone see what was inside.
That's it. Especially if you could just consider that, like, a lot of it's just like, no, it's fine. Nothing to see over here. Why is everyone now looking at us?
Yeah, well, it's because it smelt. It smelled like shit, and that's exactly what it was. And, almost a little bit like I thank Corgan here because, he didn't lose any of his money, so at least that's that. But we got to see just how bad this company is run and how shitty they are. I mean, you got this Billy Corgan here saved the company multiple occasions with his own wallet, and they basically decided that they were going to sandbag him. That was really the only way that you can call it here. And Dixie Carter, Matt, she found a way to stick around. She will not. If it means that TNA flourishes without her, she'd rather it die with her.
Yeah.
But we've been over that. Roman Reigns, his suspension, a bit of a lesser one here, but this is the top star, and him getting a suspension for 30 days. Man, he got humbled big time by this. WWE forced him apparently to apologize to the entire locker room for the suspension. And while he hasn't really lost, maybe this is kind of what stops it from being a scandal of the year. He didn't really lose his status, really, did he?
Not at all.
He's still trying to get over as the top face of the company, the face of the company at all, I think it was just shocking, and I had a lot of people asking whether or not WWE were really going to, because a top star like Cena's not had a wellness policy violation, and that's over years. Reigns, literally, like people were wondering, maybe it's too early in his push, the suspension, maybe it kills off his chances, but it didn't really. But it was still shocking, still a bit of a scandal, Matt. Still a bit of a scandal. Paige versus WWE. Now this was a scandal. Whew. Paige's insistence here to stand by her man, Alberto Del Rio, has caused more than a little ruckus with her employers. She's still under contract, but she's had 2 separate wellness policy violations this year.
Back to back,
yeah. And I think she's done. Now, some people disagree and think she's going to go back. I think she's done. And it's just been one thing after another. It's like now they're engaged, right? The pictures of her in that Hooters while Del Rio was having his press conference in Hooters, just a bit sad.
Yeah.
And this whole idea that, was it Mark Carrano had told Paige, you better break up with him or it's your career, and this is kind of her trying to make her statement on it, whether or not that's true or not. It's been an ugly situation from start, and I don't think it's finished yet. That's what's most worrying about it, Matt. I don't think this is the last we've heard about Paige and WWE, which would be a massive shame because she is such a great talent. But
yeah,
this is the way the chips are falling.
True waste.
It would be, yeah. Titus O'Neil suspended for touching Vince McMahon's arm. Yes, I still can't wrap my head around this, that this actually happened. Now, some have come out, Matt, since then and said that Titus has been unprofessional before, and this was simply everything adding up. But the fact that the fact is, and it will go down in the history books, is that Titus was suspended for 30 days for touching the boss's arm. That was it. It's still ludicrous.
No.
I know there's some unwritten code, but when you look at it in black and white, Jesus, that looked really abhorrent. It looks disgusting. And we said about then that it's really off, considering he was only really trying to try and get his attention. The show wasn't even airing. It was on the network, and it was at the end of it. And really, it was Vince that was overreacting, if anything. He should just looked and been like, okay, why do you want anything? But Vince pulled his arm back. Almost looked like he wants to get into a fight. And yeah, I thought this was, unfortunately for Titus, a very shitty situation, and it shouldn't have happened. Matt, I think it's very easy, actually. I think this category, who you got to give it to. I don't think anything is anything more of a scandal than TNA versus Billy Corgan. I think I think the other ones don't even come close. Maybe Paige and WWE, but I think TNA, Billy Corgan, we're talking about the fate of an entire company here.
Yeah, I can agree.
You're going with TNA, Corgan?
Yeah. I think it's, especially considering that's the most recent one to memory, that's probably just the biggest scandal of that to really, like you said, just to blow open a company.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a massive dark stain, a big black mark on the company that never seemed to end. Like I said, it's one thing having a mark against yourself, like Roman Reigns, Paige, Titus. This was the entire company right here, and this was just completely awful. And it got worse before it got better, and I'm not even sure it's better. Let's be honest. So yeah, the award for Scandal of the Year, TNA versus Billy Corgan, really just goes to TNA, to be honest. The last two categories, maybe the most prestigious ones on offer here. Male Wrestler of the Year. I count the three most prestigious as being female wrestler, male wrestler, and match of the year, for those who are asking. Here are the nominations. Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kota Ibushi, and Kevin Owens. Quite a lineup there. Let's talk about Sami Zayn. Two fantastic matches, Kevin Owens and a match of the year candidate with Shinsuke Nakamura. Mm-hmm. He's been booked badly, let's be honest, Sami Zayn, but he is a fantastic pro wrestler. And his ability and the mind of the modern day performer, he just shows over and over again that you could book him badly, but he still come off like a star. He's almost, despite WWE, he still is in the running for this award, which I think is maybe even more of a testament to his actual ability that he was able to overcome, really not being nowhere close to being the spotlight put on him than his
especially
his
what
rival.
he had to.
Yeah.
So it's like to go from like week, the night before WrestleMania, he had essentially what is a match of the year candidate with Nakamura.
Mm.
And now look at him, he lost the Survivor Series. I know this week on Raw, he just basically got ate by Strowman.
Yeah,
it's not the position he should be in.
Yeah, I tell you what's a bit of a shame with Sami Zayn. It's like I said, he's not had the feuds to really get his teeth into. No. Sometimes he's just been outright forgotten, which is a real shame for him. And I do unfortunately think that does impact his chances, but I still had to put him in here on this list. AJ Styles. Whew. What a year for AJ Styles. I mean, he's already in for Best Booked Wrestler of the Year. But in terms of match quality, right even before he signed with WWE, Matt, he put on a match of the year candidate with Nakamura. Yeah. Straight away. We're talking the 4th of January. He was putting those matches in early, right? Putting in that work. Clinics against John Cena. He made Roman Reigns look like a top-class athlete, which is... Roman Reigns is a good wrestler, but by God, did Styles bring out the best in that guy. Really did. He made... I think what's most important about this, Matt, he made believers of everyone, but he made a believer out of Vince. Yeah. Which is most important. If you made a believer out of Vince, then most of the work is already done. Yeah. And we heard apparently that Vince loves Styles. Really does.
Yeah.
It's... and you know what? Like I said, he's champion. He's had multiple... I don't think he's put on a bad match this entire year. And he's put on multiple fantastic matches. I think he's a very strong candidate for this award, personally. AJ Styles. He is easily, Matt, one of the best wrestlers alive today. No question.
Oh, easily.
Matt, you've been enjoying him on SmackDown, and it hurts me that you've been doing it. I've missed him. I'll tell you, one guy I've missed that much for what he's done on the opposite brand, it has to be Styles. He has been on fire. Really, he has. Not only in the ring, Matt, but his promos have been great as well.
Yeah.
I know he can talk, but you don't associate Styles with being an amazing speaker, but he is. That part of his game has worked tremendously, so big props to him. Shinsuke Nakamura, another guy, like I said, Matt, right at the beginning of the year, who's putting in work for this award over in New Japan. He's been involved in some great matches himself, maybe less so since his victory for the NXT Championship. His matches with Joe have been all right, but not nearly as good as the ones he had against Styles and Zayn. So maybe he cooled off a little bit there. But he's still a great talent.
Yeah.
And he took Western audiences by storm. And that's not easy You know, not with the history of some talent coming over from that region and not being treated so well or received so well. But maybe it was, I'm guessing it was the right brand and it was the right time, and he's the right sort of guy that transcends those culture barriers. And yeah, he's had a great year. He really has. And it's one of those things, Matt, you kind of look at it and you go, yeah, maybe it's of his own validity that he kind of got over more over what he did. But WWE gave him the right platform and they gave him the right matches at the right times. And he's made good. You know, no other real way to go around it. Were you shocked, Matt, to have Kota Ibushi in this list?
No. Even just for his match in the CWC.
Yeah, the multiple ones. Yeah. You can even count at like multiple matches like TJ Perkins against him, Cedric Alexander. We talked about that a little bit earlier on. He made lots of different guys with different styles of wrestling look like 5-star wrestlers. Mm-hmm. He's so good that I've gone and seen some of his stuff outside of WWE this year, and it's just as good. He's absolutely excellent. He's a different sort of wrestler to a Nakamura, but he's just as good, and he's good for different reasons. You know, I'd actually go and say he's a better wrestler than Nakamura, but Nakamura is a better performer.
Yeah,
it's almost like that Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels sort of deal they got going on between them. I put him in there because of just how good he's been, and out of the matches he had in the CWC, I don't think any one person had so many memorable matches in that tournament than Kota Ibushi. Is there anyone else that maybe you could argue for that? Maybe I'm trying to think.
No, I think the one constant through the whole CWC was him.
Yeah, and his match with TJ Perkins was really good. Yeah, very, very good. That set TJ Perkins up so well for what he'd eventually win that it wasn't even so much his victory over Grand Metallic that people were talking about. It was that match with Kota Ibushi. So, like I said, he's got that factor. He can wrestle tons of different people with loads of different styles, and he'll make them look amazing. He really will. So that's a quality, by the way, Matt, I love in wrestlers. The Bret Hart gene, as we call it here.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens, a solid performer, the current Universal Champion. He's had some great matches with Sami Zayn. The best Hell in a Cell match of the lot this year with Seth Rollins. I thought that was a great match he had.
Yep.
With the help of Chris Jericho, of course, but I still think he had his moments. And he was the right pick for a heel champion on Raw. Someone who is always a solid bet on the mic in the ring. I think he's the most all-round package for a heel than any of these guys on the list. I think some people pip him out there in terms of wrestling ability or outright performing, but he is a solid overall pro wrestler. And I think just for that and the reliability of a Kevin Owens, I think you had to put him in this. I think you had to, maybe he's missing some of the match of the year candidates that maybe some of the other guys have, but he's still worthy of a nomination at the very least. Matt, my pick for Wrestler of the Year, I think maybe it's helped the fact that I do think he's been booked so well and he won that award as well, is AJ Styles. I think he is Wrestler of the Year. And is there anyone else, Matt, or do you concur with that thought track?
I concur with that.
Styles for Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, easily.
I don't think he could have done much more. AJ Styles. I just can't see him doing much more to deserve this award. All the other guys, I can point something at them and go, okay, maybe not. Sami Zayn hasn't been booked so well. The company hasn't helped him with the feuds.
Yeah.
Shinsuke Nakamura, he's kind of cooled off a little bit since he won the title and subsequently lost it. Kota Ibushi, yeah, he's had fantastic matches, but he was only around for a little while in WWE, and maybe if I'd seen more of his stuff, maybe. Kevin Owens just hasn't had the match of the year candidates that AJ Styles has had. Styles, then, I think, is just the outright top candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, congratulations, AJ Styles. He takes the reins from Seth Rollins, who won it last year. So good for him. I think. Oh no, it wasn't him. I think Mil Muertes was Wrestler of the Year last year. Actually,
Yes.
he was. So he takes the reins from Mil Muertes. There you go. It was Rollins the year before then. So quite the list of wrestlers of the year we've got in here. You know, Rollins,
Show.
Muertes. They could have a hell of a triple threat. I'd love to see that. That'll be fun. To the final then. The final. Oh man, I'm excited to talk about this. The final award, the most prestigious one here. Match of the year. Before I start, I'm going to get myself a drink because we've got some humdingers to talk about here on this list. I think that overall, I think the wrestling quality this year hasn't been great. But every now and then, a match will come out from almost out of nowhere. And I think this year we've had plenty to pick from in terms of great matches.
Sort of like hidden gems that just sort of creep out.
You can actually see on Facebook I did like an article, 5 matches I have a shout for match of the year. I've had to take some of them off for some of the ones that have taken their place. Here are the nominations for match of the year. Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura, NXT TakeOver Dallas. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship at No Mercy. AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And at the very last moment, the very last chance to get on this list, DIY versus The Revival for the NXT Tag Team Championships at NXT TakeOver Toronto. At the very last chance, they got on this list. They literally couldn't cut it any finer when it comes to this awards, Matt. Because I haven't even got through Survivor Series. So, like, if there was a great match at Survivor Series, unfortunately it misses out because I just haven't watched it yet. But I did catch NXT, and this got onto the list. Let's go through these matches. I've been looking forward to talking about these matches again, Matt. I really have. Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. A front runner, dare I say, in this category for a long time. Western audiences got their first look at Shinsuke Nakamura. They were gifted. You know, I don't think that they could have shown people what Nakamura was about in one single match any better than what they did here. It was.
Oh no.
It was physical.
Very, but also not. I don't think I've ever heard a "Fight Forever" chant. Like. Just little things like that have just cinched it. Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I think as well, just bolstered from that entrance that Nakamura had. Mm-hmm. The crowd were treated to a very hard-hitting a match that pushed these guys to the limit. I remember the forearm part here where they just wailed on each other and until they're both exhausted. And then he did it again, you know, so they were just kept battering and shit. I remember Shinsuke Nakamura kicking Sami in the head when he was hanging ropes. And then Zayn, like, kind of doing the same thing when he got the opportunity. So, you want to be like that? Okay, I can play that game. Yeah. And I can get physical.
You see it this way? I'll play along.
Yeah. And what was to be Sami Zayn's final NXT match as well.
Yeah.
Both of these guys. What was even more shocking about this? It was the first time these guys have ever wrestled each other. I think that's the case.
Yeah, it is. Please, if led to believe.
Yeah. Wow. If this was their first match, dare I say that I would like to see them do it again and see what they could do with a real good program between them. That would be. That would be some good shit.
Now that they know, it's like, it should be just so much potential.
Yeah. This was a fantastic match. I can't think of one person making their debut in a company and having such a great match to start it off right off the bat. I can't remember the last time that someone did that, not to this quality. So that is definitely in the mix here. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz for the IC Championship at No Mercy. If you remember, Matt, this was the pay-per-view that the presidential debate was on.
Yeah, hence why we had the main event first.
We had the main event, as the curtain jerker. This match should have ended the show. There was no reason why it didn't. They instead chose to go with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, which didn't make any sense because this match was excellent. This really was. This was the career versus title match. These guys went at it for 20 minutes. Close calls. Some excellent psychology here used in this match, Matt. They knew just how to get the fans on the edge of their seat. They played off their prior matches with each other. And I had labeled this at the time, Matt, as being one of the best IC title matches in the last 5 years.
I think you'd be right to label it as such.
Yeah. I honestly thought I didn't see the quality of this coming as much as it did. And when Ziggler eventually got the win, it felt amazing. This was a real great. I would dare say this is one of the greatest Dolph Ziggler matches you'll see, and I think this is the best to Miz match you've ever seen. By God, did they went out there and beat the piss out of each other. First of all, this was maybe not as inherently physical as Zayn and Nakamura. They still went out there and gave their licks, did they not?
They fucking fought for it. Yes. I think especially considering sort of like, especially with career on the line as well, I think that adds like an extra level. And, you know, the Miz being the egotistical prick that he is,
mm-hmm.
if he can take a career as well, he'll take that shot.
Yeah. And I think as well the use of Maurice in this match was very good.
Yep.
Adding an extra layer of drama. And all in all, it was very well constructed and they performed fantastically. And they got us plenty of moments in this match. They got us on the, with bated breath, thinking that this could be the last time we see Ziggler around. And no, it wasn't to be. And
considering sort of like you go looking around dirt sheets and things like that and you hear all these reports that like Ziggler will be leaving soon and you're like, could this be his way out?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not.
It seemed, if he was going out, it seemed like the best way to do it, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and they had that great ending and fantastic and a little bit tarnished. I know, I'm not going to say tarnished. I'm saying the storyline is tarnished for the fact that Ziggler lost it to Miz again.
Yeah.
But the match itself, excellent. And it should have ended the show. That should have been the one that ended it, but it didn't. And instead they went with
for the belt as well.
It ended up in a really weird ending with Wyatt as well. So it kind of ended on a shitty, weird, state. But still, that definitely doesn't take away from the match itself. The match itself was stellar. AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam. Oh boy, this was a match and a half. I think what's been really good this year is that you've got two matches this year that are in this match of the year candidates that really didn't have anything much on the line. This one and the Zayn Nakamura match, it's just two guys who are great wrestlers. Just wrestling. That's all it is. I know this one had a bit more of a storyline, but
it wasn't for anything. There was no belt or anything like that. It was just essentially just for personal vendetta. I would just want to know that I'm the better man.
Yeah. It was Styles saying that, I will beat you again, and I won't need anyone's help to do it. And Cena coming back and saying, the only reason you beat me is because you had the club. And this was completely clean. And I think that they did themselves a big favor by doing it that way. I think if they had tried to get cute, Matt, and try coming up with another reason why John Cena would lose, not of his own failures here, then it would have taken... I don't think this match would have been on this list if that was the case.
Oh, no. It would have tarnished.
Yeah. But the ending, I think, was fantastic. The match itself was excellent. It really is. They had so many close calls. It's just two very good world-class pro wrestlers, legendary pro wrestlers.
Just go at it.
Yeah. And you know what was even shocking here? Styles got the win, clean. Very few people are afforded any victory over John Cena, let alone a clean victory, let alone be your second pinfall victory over the guy. They clearly trusted Styles a lot. I mean, obviously they did because you could see what he moved on to. But that ending was the right ending for that moment. And the crowd, they were very pleased. with Cena taking that loss. And you know what? Him taking that loss elevated Styles to a position that he should have been in. This is where the booking worked, you know? Like, it reminded me a little bit when...
Favor.
It reminded me a little bit when Daniel Bryan beat him clean. It was the right choice, you know? You know, they can clearly see that one guy's on the up. All he needs is a big-time victory to solidify himself. Who better to do that against than John Cena?
Yeah.
So... and just really, really great performance by these guys. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Wrestle Kingdom, IWGP Intercontinental Championship. The last high-profile match either man would have in New Japan. Both guys obviously would find their way to WWE. It's also the only match on this list that isn't WWE. So there is that. This was a very different match to what both of these guys would end up wrestling over in. But it's to a different audience, so that's completely fine. It's still a great match. It's just it's slowed down a little bit, and the moves are a little bit more accentuated, shall we say? And that's completely fine.
Yeah, but even as a Western viewer, I still very much enjoyed that match.
Oh yeah, definitely. They put on such a great show at the Tokyo Dome that even though they had, Okada and Tanahashi main eventing again, and those two guys are great stars.
Yeah,
this stole the show. You know, Nakamura for the second Wrestle Kingdom in a row stole the show again. I've been in between this and the Sami Zayn Nakamura match pretty much throughout the majority of this year going, I don't know which one's going to win it. Because this was a very good match. A very, very good match. And I tell you what's good about it, going back and watching it now that they've spent the majority of the time in WWE, Matt, is that you go back and you look at it, you can just kind of appreciate how they tweaked their game plans for a different audience. It's a testament to their skills as pro wrestlers. You know, just
to adapt to it, so like, it's a Japanese crowd. We'll wrestle it for them. Yeah,
and so they should absolutely. And you know, for someone that's watched a few, you know, because I've got a kind of gauge for the Japanese style, even as a but I'm still predominantly, as we say, Matt, a Western audience. Mm-hmm. I still enjoyed it for what it was, and it was a very well done match. And even the end, that signal of respect, the fist bump at the end, that was a beautiful touch.
Oh, even then, I still loved the Styles trying to shoot Nakamura and Nakamura catching the bullet. Yeah, and shoving it in his gob, eating it, just beautiful, beautiful moments within a beautiful match. Really good. Okay, I'm pretty much going to give my answer here. I was stuck. Yeah, you know where I'm going. I was stuck. Yeah, I was stuck with AJ Styles and Nakamura and Zayn all this year. Matt, dare I say, I was tortured. Constantly toing and throwing, just thought like, oh, but this one, or but that one. Yeah. Until
before this week, I had been watching both matches. And I've been I've been almost going through them with a fine-tooth comb and going, okay, they made a mistake here. Like, getting very nitpicky.
Proper critical about it. Like, I need a flaw in one of these matches to call it in the other's favour.
Yeah.
But and then something else happens.
Yeah, I didn't need to do it because they both lost. I hate to say that because they're both phenomenal matches. They really are. At the very last moment, DIY versus the Revival stole it.
The thing is, though, I could probably go, like, at one point, I think we would have gone with DIY versus Revival at Brooklyn as a contender.
Yeah.
But now...
It would have been a nomination, but it wouldn't have won.
This one at Toronto is just a whole nother level.
Yeah. This was a 2 out of 3 falls match. Matt, I'm going to go as far and say... I've said before with that IC title match that it was one of the best IC title matches that I've seen in 5 years.
Yes.
Matt, this is one of the greatest tag team matches I have ever seen in my life.
Agreed.
That's how good this match is. A ferociously paced 2 out of 3 falls match here. Excellently constructed, flawlessly executed, and just performed at such a high quality. I was looking at it, and when it ended, I was like, I wanted to give him a round of applause and go, I can't believe you actually stole it at the last moment. You actually did it.
There was moments whilst watching this match, and I was like, this is a really good match. And then before I knew it, I was wincing at the near falls and everything like that, and I'm like, I'm in.
What I liked about this match as well, because of the 2 out of 3 falls, they didn't just get the first 2 falls done quickly.
No.
Each fall was almost its own story, you know?
Like, I really enjoyed that first, like, I really liked the first fall.
Oh, that shatter machine out of nowhere.
Oh, so good. It's just like, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do your like, catapult spear. No, you're not. Just
This match... So go on.
It's just... It's excellent in the way, like you said, like brilliantly planned, like the story was brilliantly planned. Like that was a moment where it's like scouted. Like, I know your shit. We faced before. I know what you're going to do. And I have my counter for that. But it was just like perfect timing on everyone's part that Wilder was ready just to step in for that, because that could have quite easily have gone wrong, but just the timings on it was just perfect.
Yeah. They literally, it's to the second, you know, like that's how precise.
And I can't even think of a single moment where in that match it was a bit wobbly.
Oh no, I can't remember it.
I can't think of a single point. Like, no.
I tell you what I'm even more impressed with, Matt, is that you go back and there's moments within this match, just on their own, storylines that they created. The Gargano, him being put in that knee lock again, and him almost... do you remember the moment where he looked like he was going, he stopped himself at the last moment, and then he crawls... My heart leapt out. I was like, he's tapping. He's tapping.
And then there was that brief moment later on where like he's hopping around, and just out of nowhere in comes Wilder with like a chop block.
Oh God, that chop block, that was dirty. Yeah. Other moments here, the part where the Revival got a little bit too cocky, decided, we're going to do your finishing move, and then it ends up with them super kicking one another. And then you got this shatter machine on the Revival, gets the 2 count. Oh, just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And you know what? Because this match went over 20 minutes, it's a testament, because they didn't slow down. This was just go. Yeah. These guys must have been absolutely just destroyed after this match. They took a beating, and in terms of cardiovascular, they are something else right there. It really is impressive.
If I wasn't going to beforehand, I know I'm definitely going to treat myself to a No Flips Just Fists t-shirt.
Yeah. Fucking hell. This was something. Oh, this is special. This is... And like I said, what even gets this over? I mean, the finish as well, I think, is beautiful. You know, the fact they've both got the submission in, they're holding each other's hands, trying to stop each other from tapping, but they end up doing it together. It's like I said, it's so beautiful, Matt. It should be like a painting, like the Sistine Chapel, where they're just touching fingers, you know, at the moment of tap out. And that was, I think as well, I think the match itself would have been harmed if the Revival had retained. But DIY do win. It's a great moment as the faces win. And they finally overcome, their ultimate, task here. If this match isn't the greatest tag team match I've ever seen, it's got to be top 2, top 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's for all the great tag team matches that we had with the Shield, and they are fantastic.
Yeah, I was about to draw that sort of comparison with like Shield and Wyatt's.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that was the build up to that match that made it so special. I mean, this one had like a pretty good build up, but flawless execution just made it so much better.
Yeah. People might point the finger and say, what about the TLC matches? Because technically they are tag team matches. I have more respect for this match than that one. And I don't mean that any bad. That match still, Matt, is beautiful, that TLC match.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's because 2 out of 3 falls are straight wrestling matches rather than stipulation of weapons.
Yeah. You know what? They didn't rely on anything like big spots like that. It was just simple. I tell you what, Matt, it's the best example of a face versus heel tag team match.
Yeah,
you won't get any better example of it at all.
Like, 'cause even if you consider like earlier on in the night when during the Dusty Classic, like Authors of Pain had to resort to the chain.
Yeah,
none of that here. None of that.
No.
It was just perfect tag team wrestling. And honestly, I just love watching the Revival work because there's just so much great old school tactics on show.
Yeah. Now there was one here just to kind of elaborate there. There was one moment where they brought the championship in, so you could say that here where Gargano did kick the championship. But it's one of those things that's
yeah, and then Dawson busted himself open with it.
yeah. But it's one of those things that it didn't. That wasn't the talk. That wasn't like the only point of that match. That wasn't the sole reason why that match was. It
wasn't even a finish like that. Like usually when belts get included, that's a finish. That match went on another 5 minutes after that.
Yeah, and that was the moment as well where Gargano almost tapped. Like I said, when he looked like he was going, my heart jumped out of my skin, and I was like,
"Yeah,
shit, I'm so invested. I am." So I've heard as well from some people saying that inside the building, people were literally losing their shit. They couldn't hold it in. I tell you what was interesting about this match is that because they followed this up obviously with Asuka and Mickie James, and then the main event, which they were warmly received, but not nearly as warmly received.
I think it's because by that point the crowd were exhausted.
Yeah, it had to take a Michael sort of feel to it.
Yeah, the crowd in that match was just.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things. Like the crowd can make a good match great, but if it's a great match, it makes it just next level. Yeah.
This is so fantastic. This is I cannot even give it as many plaudits as I can. People might say to me, well, you're only giving this award because it's the most recent. No, I stand by this match so much that I give it those accolades, knowing that some people are going to come back and say, what about this match? I can put this match up against any other tag team match in wrestling history. Any match I can put it up against. And to feel that confident about it, I know I'm making the right decision when I give this, in my opinion, Matt, the match of the year. Are you going with it?
Without doubt.
Without doubt. It's... you know what, Matt? I was always so proud of them. I was like, you had one last shot to win this award. And you did it. You actually did it. I was smiling to myself, and then I had to go look at a picture of Nakamura and Zayn and go, "I'm sorry, guys. You were in front for so long, and sorry. If we had done it, Matt, last week, they probably would have won it
easy."
But no, it's not. They come in at the very last opportunity, the last show we watch fully before doing it, and they win it. It's like almost like picked to been behind the entire race and just leans their head forward, takes the photo finish and wins it at the very last second. I love it. I absolutely love it. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
All right then, Matt, there are all the awards. We've given all the awards out. Matt, I have to say that in terms of enjoying pro wrestling this year, I have really enjoyed the DIY Revival matches. The first one as well was really great. AJ Styles is a big winner this year. Best booked wrestler, best male wrestler of the year.
Yeah.
The big people that suffered in the awards this year is the club. They got worst segment and worst booked wrestlers of the year.
Yeah. Two extremes of the club.
Of the club, yeah, isn't it? I've had a great time looking back at 2016. In all intensive purposes, with celebrities and wrestling legends not making it through this year, unfortunately. On that sense, it's been bad. But we've had some instances here of real good reasons to be very, very interested in what's going to happen in the future. I think 2017 will be another good year, and. When I look at the list of nominations for the match of the year, I don't think we've ever had a stronger list than what we've had doing these award shows, which is good. I'm really happy about that. So hopefully next year they can outdo themselves, but it's going to be hard because, like I said, that DIY Revival match, I'll say it again, one of the best tag team matches of all time. So it's going to take something really, really strong to beat that. So but we'll see how it goes. All right then, Matt. Let's get our plugs out of the way, and then we can head out. We've got a gig to go get ready for. I've got a flight to go.
That's true.
So this is all coming out, by the way, when I actually get home from that, which is ironic because we're recording on a Tuesday. I'll release this usually on a Sunday, and we'll still be doing that. So I'll even have more time to think about this. But let us know what you think of the picks here and whether or not you think we overlooked anyone. I'd be very interested to see what you guys have to say. Apart from that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a blast talking about this, Matt. Honestly. Yeah. We're doing this now. Every single year we do this. We're doing a dedicated award show. I don't know why we didn't do it before. I've really enjoyed doing this. It was almost like looking over the year in remembrance, almost, and seeing what the good and bad things that happened. But just like Kalisto, Matt, it's time for us to run away. If you'd like to interact with us, you can interact with us via our Facebook page, facebook.com/letstalkwrestlingpodcast. You can send us a Twitter. Yeah, you can send us a Twitter to the Twitter account of
@TalkWrestlePod.
I make that mistake way too often. I really do.
Love it.
It's because it's late, Matt, and we've been talking loads. Slip of the tongue.
I know.
You can also send us any private messages or audio questions to letstalkwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Plenty of ways to get in contact with us here. We've had a great response, Matt, from some of the changes that we made to the show. I do apologize, however, the fact that episode 150, the last 20 minutes, unfortunately, did not show up for some reason. When I downloaded the show from our recording, it seemed to corrupt the last 20 minutes, and for some reason it doesn't come up. So I don't think I'll have time to redo it, but apologies on that front. But I think the only thing they missed, Matt, was Survivor Series predictions. So they got the rest of the show, so that's fine on that front. Which was most importantly that we did everything else, our reviews and everything like that. I'm glad it's the last 20 minutes and not the first 20 minutes, shall we say. So, on that front, that's okay with me. But if you guys are desperate for it, when I get back, I will render it again and I'll push it out as like episode 150 redo with full audio, and I'll double check it and everything to make sure it works. Apart from that, then we've got nothing else to talk about. 2016 is in the can. We'll see you all next week, of course, for episode 152. That's actually also our 30th anniversary show, so we're going to be having a look at the show in general, getting all like, oh, it's all grown up, all that stuff. You know how it is, man. Getting very nostalgic.
I know.
All right then, guys. Talk to you next week. Have a great time. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.
Okay, soon.